Global expansion for MedTech. Fast, safe, and certified.
Nice to meet everyone. My name's Harry. I work at Novalins, which is a medical translation company. And so I'm going to be talking about global expansion for MedTech and how to make it fast, safe, but also make it certified when it comes to expanding into different countries. So we've spent 11 years providing ISO-certified translation services to different MedTech and digital health companies. It's now at some 240. And especially in the last 6 years, we've noticed this massive uptrend in what MedTech and what digital health companies are looking for. You know, they want a specific set of things from their medical translation provider. And so we've had to make a specific workflow that's designed for MedTech companies, because obviously these companies want things fast, easy, and they want it to be extremely effective. Now, a few similar trends that we've noticed across different MedTech companies is that they want quick turnaround times. So obviously this is that when they send us a document or they send us an application or a website or something to be translated, they want it back as fast as possible to be able to expand as quickly as possible into, across the world. Aside from that, they also want automation in digital systems. So more so than like pharmaceutical companies or the medical device companies, those kind of companies are very traditional. They want the PDF or they want the Word document sent to us, translated, and then sent back via email, all very simple. But MedTech and digital health, because they work in applications, because they work with software, they want everything done in a very automatic way. They don't want to have to worry about having to go through hundreds of email chains with loads of different people, all of the different translators. They just want everything sorted out as quickly as possible. Aside from that, they also want speed. Now, I've separated here speed from quick turnaround times, because obviously quick turnaround times is what I was talking about, sending the document and having it translated as quickly as possible. Speed is more specifically designed for MedTech and digital health, because obviously I know that in those companies, things happen very fast. The companies are very dynamic. They're often very young companies, and they have lots of different ideas all coming at the same time. And especially when it comes to like websites and applications and things, there's lots of different bits that will go in, all of the strings and all of the keys, they're edited while all of the projects are being done. It never really stops getting updated. And so they want the speed to be able to adapt, or they want the provider to be able to adapt to this. They want the provider to be flexible enough to be able to basically incorporate any kind of possible change that can happen within this. So, the provider needs to be extremely flexible. They need to be able to work with how MedTech companies are currently working. And aside from that, the last thing that we've noticed that most companies want is languages. Obviously, again, traditional pharmaceutical, traditional medical device companies want, the European languages because of the EMA, because of the MDR, all of those kind of things. But medical or MedTech or digital health companies, they want basically accessibility versus, regulations. Obviously, in this means making the content or making the product as accessible as possible to people all across the world. So not just, let's have it translated into Swedish and into Finnish, but they want it translated into Finnish for people that live in Sweden. They want it translated into African dialects, smaller Asian dialects, and so companies need to be able to provide for that as well. But it's not just enough to be fast and to be, as quick as possible. You also need to be very safe. Obviously, it's medical content. A small mistake can be a little bit dangerous, especially when it comes to translating it into 100 different languages at the same time. So a translation provider needs to be able to offer certain guarantees when it comes to, how is the translation done? How can the company make sure, how can the client be sure that this translation has been done properly and that the product is ready to go? So we offer certain guarantees that we feel are very important for medical companies. One of these is using native medical subject matter expert linguists. So this is basically, say you were going to translate a document from English into German, you would have a German native or a team of German native translators who had either experience or they had knowledge of whatever the subject matter is. So say it was an application for oncology. You would get German translators who has experience or who have some kind of knowledge of oncology to be able to translate it because they know the terminology, they know the vocabulary, and they can also adapt it into the native language. They can make it sound natural. So that's the next point, is localization and accessibility. Obviously, again, MedTech companies, they want it to be as accessible as possible. They want the people that are looking at the application, at the website, the software, whatever the product is, they want the general public to be able to understand it as well as possible. And that's another important point of using native translators. Obviously, they can take any document in one language and make it, say it has jokes, say it has some kind of funny theme, then they can translate that in a way that it's more accessible to whoever the native population is That's the whole point of that. Aside from that, translations have to be compliant with translation requirements. So this is both national and on an international level. We noted before, fast and easy. Obviously, medical device and pharmaceutical companies are normally the ones that want all of the regulations, but MedTech and digital health still have to go through all the steps. I mean, obviously, you all know that, I hope. But so we have to make sure that the translators, who are the natives, are also experts in the regulations, that they know that the translations are compliant with whatever national or international requirements need to be done for those kind of applications, for those kind of, or for that kind of content. So basically, what that means is that when we deliver a translation, that translation needs to be ready to go. It needs to be submitted. We don't want the clients to have to waste time reviewing everything to make sure that the content is correct. The idea is that we know it's correct. And the reason that we know it's correct is because of the quality and regulatory compliance. So again, obviously this is a big step. This is a very important step. This doesn't take away from the speed, but it does certainly, it helps with the guarantees, essentially. A few ways that a company can be compliant, or that a provider, medical translation provider can be compliant, is by using ISO certifications. So, for example, we have 3. We have ISO 13485, which is obviously medical devices, but we also have 17100 translation services, and 9001 quality management. Obviously, very important, just for the just to assure the companies that the provider knows what they're doing. Aside from that, we have a full QA procedure. This comes again from the ISOs. The whole translation process is not just like, let's have this translated as quickly as possible. We have a native translator who does the translation, and then it's proofread, and then it's validated between them. Quality checks, internal checks, all of this stuff, just to make sure that that the product is ready to go once it's been translated. Which means that this can then be sent with what's called a certificate of translation accuracy. This is normally very helpful when it comes to a document that has to be submitted to some kind of authority, some kind of health authority. You just give them the certificate that says this translation has been done according to these quality steps, which means that it's now ready to go in however many languages you've had it translated into. Aside from that, subject matter experts. I've already mentioned this, but I just want to reiterate the importance of using native people. And finally, guidelines and SOPs. So this one comes slightly different from this, but obviously when it comes to MedTech or digital health, going back again, I say they have apps, they have websites, they have software, and lots of times they have their own proprietary software that they use to make the app or to build the platform, however the company has made this content. So it's important that we can immediately jump into action. Obviously, many platforms, many software are very similar. So it's not just like, we don't want to waste time learning how to use the client's platform. If we have guidelines and SOPs already made from similar platforms, it means that the translators don't have to, get confused. You don't need to spend a lot of time basically pulling all the content out of the application or extracting it into a different format, sending it, translating it, and then putting it all back in. It takes a long time to do that. It's easier to just have some kind of SOP, some kind of guideline that tells you how to translate the content directly on the application. So, moving on from that, technology. Obviously, MedTech companies, digital health companies, a lot about technology. I don't think there's really much that we can say for this. But technology, we use it to basically automate the entire translation process, to make it faster. One of these ways that we use this is with content management software. So this is what I said before about not having to extract all of the content. You can use content management software to basically align your application with it. Then the translators can go into the content management software and translate the platform directly on there. Again, it speeds up the whole process, it automates it, it makes everything easier for the clients, basically. Aside from that, translation memories. So translation memories, you'll probably understand them more as like glossaries. So it's basically just, it's the memory of what has been previously translated by the client. So if you're happy with one kind of, this word should be translated like this in this other language. But translation memories work on documents themselves. So if you have like a whole block of text or a whole paragraph that is similar to another one, the translation memory can remember it, automatically translate it while the translators are translating the rest of the content. So again, this helps to speed up the content over time, going back to what MedTech companies want when they want things fast and easy. Aside from that, at Novalins at least, we have our proprietary clients portal, which is essentially just a file delivery system. It's just a secure file delivery system to make everything easier. There's no need for loads of email chains. Everything is like self-contained on that one platform. And finally, automatic translation and medical post-edition. So obviously, a lot of MedTech companies are getting very interested in this because it's obviously, again, faster, it's easier. We've been testing out a lot. There's now an ISO certification for this, which we're currently in the process of getting. But automatic translation does certainly speed up medical content. If it's done properly, then again, it can be certified. You can give some kind of certification for it that health authorities can accept for, automatic translation. Post-edition in this case is, again, just reviewing the text that has been automatically translated. But again, we would use native subject matter experts to do so, just to keep that extra bit of quality, or to keep that extra bit of safety involved in doing this. But this is definitely a great option, especially among lots of European languages now, to basically just speed up the entire process if you needed the content translated into all 24 languages at the same time. It definitely helps speed up the process quite a lot. So now, all of this comes down to a certain workflow that is designed for MedTech companies. Designed for MedTech, designed for digital health. And it's important, going back to what I said at the very beginning about flexibility, about being able to adapt to what a company wants. You need to be able to customize an action plan. So it's not just the same as like with a standard or with a traditional pharmaceutical company. It's not just send the document, have it translated according to this format, and send it back. Lots of companies take a big focus on the accessibility, on the naturalness of the language, on how accessible is it to the general public, to whoever the end user of the product is. So everything has to be customized according to that, according to what software is being used, according to what processes the company uses to upload the platform, or whatever the product is. There's definitely some kind of technology involved that has to be adapted to this. So aside from that, so again, the second point is the exact same thing: adaptability and flexibility. We have to be able to adapt to the client's processes, and then finally having a technological knowledge base. So this is more important for us internally. Like if a company comes to us with some kind of new project, maybe they have some new technology, maybe they have a different way of using they have a different way of using their platform, of using their product. We need to know what kind of technology is available. We need to be able to stay on top of every single kind of technological or workflow automation translation to be able to offer the best kind of services to whoever the client happens to be. So that's why having a technological knowledge base is very important. And all of that leads to fast, easy, and effective global expansion from a linguistic point of view. And that's it. If you want to know more, my booth is literally the closest one to this place.